Okay, so I'm here to knock out a little how-to video for Danner and his dad Ray. And I went down a rabbit hole today and I couldn't find a framing square on 3D Warehouse. The only one I could find didn't have numbers on both sides, and it didn't have 16th marks, and it didn't have atdrafting.com on it. So a division of Artisan Construction. So I had to draw one, and it took longer to draw the framing square than it did the stair section. So that's my fault, though. Okay, but I just wanted to show them they're getting ready to actually build this stair. So I thought what would be handy. One thing, did I check my volume? Yes. Okay, sometimes I'll do this and literally forget to turn on the microphone or plug it in. Is our desktop audio on too? Yes. Okay. If you have questions, just leave them and I'll check them here periodically. So back to the program, I need to turn off some layers. I just wanted to show you these walls. These beige or tan or wood looking walls, all this stuff is new construction, and all the white looking is the existing. And so I'm just going to go ahead and turn those off just so you can see better. Let's turn that off. Oh yeah, much better. So now we're looking at this, and he's going to frame the landing first, and he has some material on the job, and a lot of it's 2x4s, so he's going to use 2x4s for this, but I'm showing them 12 inches on center just to make sure it's good and strong. And so you build that first, okay? And this is going to be kind of a quick how-to because you can watch this over and over, and of course Danner and Ray are going to have the model so they can actually use it, and not a lot of long drawn-out explanation needed. I will show you how we kind of got to this point, though. Let me turn on the floor framing and decking, okay? Because I will show you what you need to do to figure your risers, okay? Because your run is pretty much set because of standard building materials at 10 inches on your stringers, okay? And I'll show you why in just a little bit. But what you want to do is take your dimension after you've framed your second floor or whatever it is your framing is done, and measure it, okay? Right, so that's 96.5. You want to measure it where it lands, not where the stair starts out. You want to measure it back here. The stair does not land out here. The stair lands over here. There could be a significant difference in the concrete, an old concrete slab between here and here, and you might get a surprise after you've gone through all this trouble to cut your stringers. So now we move over to our paper drawing, right? Because this is the whole point of planning. We want to create a stair section, okay? And when I create stair sections, I just do it one straight line. Even though the stair bend turns 90 degrees, it's got a dog leg in it, I still do a straight section like this just to make it more clear. Now, after you've measured your, I have a nifty calculator I brought up here. After you've measured your overall height, and let's go back to the drawing for a second here, you need to make sure that you are accounting for this top layer of finished floor and the bottom layer. But if you're putting on the same thickness as the top and the bottom, the dimension is going to be the same, okay? It's only as if we were not putting anything on the concrete down here, we would have to come up with a different measurement. But the measurement I'm using, because I think it's a safer measurement, is 96.5. That's the best measurement I think we can use at this point in time for this project. So you might be thinking, how do I do this? what you do is the typical riser you want to shoot for is 7.5 inches, 7.5. Okay, so this is just a quick little exercise I do for every stair. It's real simple. You take your height, 96.5, and divide it by 7.5 just to see if you get lucky and it'll go an even number of times, right? Well, it won't, okay? It'll go 12.8666, and we don't want to use any kind of 666 in our drawing, okay? That would be satanic. But anyway, just a little religious humor there. What was that? I think I have a squirrel crawling down my pipe in my attic. But anyway, excuse me. So, you know, you can't have a decimal number of stairs. You have to have 13, right? You have to round it up to the next one. The next riser number would be 13 risers. Okay, let's do that again. We had 96.5. We divided it by 7.5 because that's our goal riser. We can't do 7.5. So let's try 13. 96.5 divided by, well, did I clear it? 96.5 divided by 13 is 7.42. Now, that's a good number because you don't want to be anywhere near 7.75, 7 3/4, okay? You want to hover around that 7.5 inch mark. And since we rounded up to 13, that meant our risers were going to be less than 7.5 because that was our goal number, okay? So you may be saying, well, what's 0.42 inches? Okay, so let's keep this in mind, 7.42, okay, let's keep that in our head. All right, so I'm going to guess, I know it's less than a 1/2 inch because a 1/2 inch would be 0.5 inches, right? So I'm going to start with the 16th less. I'm going down. So I'm going to say 7 divided by 16 is 4 or 0.375. That's pretty close, okay? And what you're going to learn is that in carpentry, if you get this close, you're close enough because your pencil lead is thicker than that, okay? And I'll just give you an example. If we were to go down one more 16th, and we divided 3 by 8 for 3/8, we would have 0.375. You see, I like the 7/16 better. So does that make sense? What you're trying to convert, you're trying to see, practically speaking, what the what the fractional number is for your decimal. So it's 7/16, okay? 7 7/16. Now that may have seemed like a long way around to get to that, but it's not as hard as it looks. You just want to try to go kind of back and forth a little bit until you get that decimal number, okay? All right, so we're going to take our fancy framing square that nobody else on the internet has, and for now I'm going to look for 7 7/16, okay? And I'm going to put it on the edge of the board, okay? 7 7/16 is that 16th right before a half, okay? Now I'm going to rotate my square, and this is literally what you're going to do, okay? I've agonized over this. I haven't really wanted to spend time doing this, but I think it's important for people who've never done stairs before to understand how to use the framing square, okay? So you're going to put that corner on 7 7/16, and you're going to put this corner on 10, okay? Just like that, okay? And that's what it's going to look like. That's literally, this is a real framing square, and this is a real 2x12, okay? This is a 16-foot long 2x12, okay? Now the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this square up a little bit because, well, I don't know, you can see it, can't you? I've got it kind of buried in the wood. If I was going to raise it up, I'd raise it up, I'd raise the square up 1/8 of an inch because I've got the thickness of it 1/8. I just want to leave that edge touching the wood because I'm going to trace around. I'm going to show you how to literally trace around this with your pencil. Okay? The most important thing though is to keep your, and be patient here. I'm going to show you how this is done, and I hope you're going to understand at the end. But just be patient, okay? You're not going to miss, Morty and what is it? Rick and Morty. Just be patient. All right, so you're going to set your framing square, your rise, and you're standing right here, okay? It's important to get the orientation of the framing square proper, okay? This is your rise here, and this is your run, okay? Now, the reason you want a nice long board is because you see, you can't start your square at the end. You can't start your square out here, okay? You got to have room to put your square on the board. Yes? Okay. Bye. My wife, I'm going to get dinner. Well, I can't have dinner yet. I'm live. And I got to get this knocked out for Ray and Danner. Okay, so literally, this does two things, okay? This forces you not to try to use the end of the 2x12. I promise you, when you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, the ends are going to be cracked. They're all going to be, whatever. You don't want to use the very end. So you want this condition. And what did I do? Y'all made me mess up. My wife made me mess up. Somehow it got off 7. You see, it's very important to keep your framing square. And they make these little knobs you can screw onto your square that hold it. It's at whatever you set it at, okay? But you want to keep that set at 7 and 7/16. Whatever your riser is, you need to learn to do the math for your particular project. And this is 10, but this is always going to be 10. This is not going to change because you're not going to go ripping down unless you have a special job, okay? You're not going to go ripping down treads and all that stuff. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make our first mark. I'm going to double click on this. Okay, I'm going to mark that, okay? I'm going to come here now on the first one, okay? I'm going to come all the way across the board, okay? You'll see why in a minute. Again, patience is a virtue, okay? And then I'm going to come over here and mark it to here, okay? Am I set? This is actually easier, I promise. It's actually easier. I'm going to cut this framing square out. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to explode this group until we're ready to make it a group again. That's going to make it easier. Yeah. So let's see if I made this. Oops. Now see, that's why I wanted to. You see, this is easier in real life, I promise. It's easier to manipulate this stair. And why? Right, we're going to undo a few things here, and we're going to start over, and I'm not going to worry about the square being, okay. We're going to put the square down on, you're just going to have to pretend that this isn't happening, okay? Your square will be sitting on top of the board, but I need mine to be right there because I need to be able to trace around it. And in real life, I promise you this is easier. It's not as tedious as watching me do it, okay? So I'm going to come out here, I'm going to mark that line and that line. I'm just going to let that run by for now, okay? And this, again, this mark goes all the way across, okay? Am I getting it? I'm really kind of, honestly, this was supposed to be easier. For some reason, yeah. if I can just get this one done, I'll be thanking Jesus. So for now, we're going to move this down wherever, okay? And this is the problem of drawing in 3D, okay? Let me start that over. I'm going to put a mark right here, okay? Because SketchUp is intuitive, I know that it'll help me draw this perpendicular, really, after I've bragged on you. Hold the shift key down. Okay, so we're live and all this stuff happens when you're live. Is that 90? Yeah. I'm gonna delete. So as you can imagine, yeah, see that should be, I should be able to cut that out if it's in the right spot. Alright, so I'm going to delete that little mark, okay. Now you're going to leave that mark, okay, right. So now you're going to put your square back, okay. Now you're going to move your square, that's, okay, back to this point, okay. Is that right? It's probably going to be more accurate in real life, I promise you. Because I think this square is not sitting flush with the surface. Alright. But yeah, this is going to be easier when you get ready to do it. Okay, then you're going to take we're going to go out here. And for now, I don't trust this that much, honestly. But I'm going to see. Yeah, okay, that worked. All right, so you see what you're going to do is you're going to keep going. And I'm just going to save some time, I'm going to move the framing square, okay? But you're just going to move it down 7 7/16. Actually, that's not mathematically correct. It would be from here to here, okay? You're just going to keep doing that, okay, till you get all your risers and treads marked out on the 2x12, okay? And of course you're doing it from here, standing here, looking over the top. I was just had to turn it around to get to it. But so what you're going to do is, let's do the long one first, okay? So we know we got to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 risers on this stringer, okay? So I'm going to move this framing square out of the way for right now. And I'm just going to copy these because I need to make up some time, but I've played around. Okay, so that's, this is 1 right here. Okay, you're going to see why in a minute. 1, 2, 3, and you're going to double check these before you cut them. Let's just move this down here out of the way. And just pretend, you know, you've gone down and you've marked each one of these, okay? How many do I have? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I do need this one more. Now, on this one, we're going to see how much board we've got left over. Okay. You've got plenty of board out of a 16-footer to cut this one, okay? So just go ahead, for the sake of ease. Well, I want to show you something, okay? Now, normally what you would do is you would run this mark. You would take your framing square and make that mark, okay? Because that's your bottom. We're upside down, remember. This is the bottom, and it's really important for you to keep this in your head, okay? This is the top of the stair, You might even write it on here. When you first start, this is the top riser. Just write it on there, okay? This is the bottom, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to consult your drawing, okay? And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I'm going to send Danner and Ray this drawing, but you're going to do your own drawing, okay? You're not going to have this drawing. You're going to have to produce it. And I did this in the previous video, so just watch that. But here's the trick to this, okay? And this is the most important thing that you will cut on the stringer is this cut right here. I promise you, if you don't pay attention, you're going to fail this class and screw up your $20, your $20, $30 stringer, okay? You measure this from your drawing, okay? That's 6 3/16, right? The reason it's 6 3/16 is because we have this subfloor. We're going to put this subfloor tread and this 1-inch thick tread, okay? You see why it has to be? And then when you measure to there, when you measure from the top of your tread to the finished floor, which you have to account for on your landing, it's going to be 7 7/16, just like we said, okay? All right, so let's measure that again. You're going to measure this stuff 3 times before you cut it. 6 3/16, okay? Now, this is real life. We're going back over to our board. We're going to measure down from here, and I know this is upside down, but you can do it. 6 3/16. You can think upside down, okay? You're going to cut this off the bottom. Oh my God! If you cut it off the top, you're gonna screw up your whole tread, your stringer, okay? And I'm not talking to Ray and Danner. I'm talking to everybody on the internet. They're smart guys. I don't know about the rest of you guys. If you cut this 6 3/16 from the bottom up, you're going to screw up the stringer, okay? You must cut it off the bottom of the stringer, not the top of. You see, if I cut that 6 3/16, I will cut this. This step would be 9 inches tall. Okay, it'd be like probably 8 something. Okay, so now you've got a new line to mark across here. Okay, this is your. Okay, that's your new line. All right, so I'm gonna delete this, but you're just gonna exit out so you don't cut it. Okay, that is your stringer. That's it. Okay. Now the reason I made this mark all the way across up here is because practically speaking, it's easier just to cut that off. Okay. All right. Now what you're gonna do when you start cutting these cuts right here. This one doesn't matter because you can cut it all the way across, okay? That one cuts all the way across. Don't cut these cuts. Don't come in here with your saw and do this, okay? Don't cut past that, right? Don't cut past that little corner. Watch the radius of your saw and just cut right to it, okay? Don't cut past that point. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to take a handsaw, okay, and finish the cut. You're going to have a little radius here that's missing, or that's still left on there. Okay, missing that you cut out. Okay, if you cut this like a lot of carpenters do, they'll just run the saw by until that bottom radius of the saw cuts to here. And so what they're doing is they're weakening. You're taking this thin part and making it even thinner. I've seen these triangles break off. You see the grain of the wood running this way? This is a triangle waiting to be broken off right here. This right here, okay? If you drop this stringer, this right here will break off. I promise you, okay? I'm trying to save you some heartache because over 40 years, I've been through all this heartache before and pain. Let's see if anybody's watching. Okay, good. Leave me alone. Just kidding. All right. So, and remember, this is the top. Okay. So now you're just going to go down through here, cutting all these off. Okay. This is when it's easier to do. than in real life. Okay. So now I'm gonna just draw myself a straight line across here because I can. Okay. And I don't want to waste. I want to save. I'm pretending like this is. I am saving this part of the board because that's what I'm going to get this next little piece out of. Okay. All right. Well, what? All right. Sometimes it does that. I gotta cut. All right. You see, that is your stringer. Now I'm going to prove it to you because I'm going to save it as a group, and I'm going to haul it over there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over. First I'm going to lay it down here. Let's see. I meant to grab the bottom of it. Okay, so if we were going to compare this to our drawing, okay, I feel like I'm not. Yeah, I missed. Let's move this over. Let's move this point over to here. And we'll try that again. There we go. You see how that lines up with our drawing? See? Now, that's a good way to check it, okay? Because if I were you, I would do this in SketchUp because SketchUp has that free version, okay? I missed that little point right there, but it's no big deal. Let me turn this, let me put this right here for a second. And I drew these with a different hatch on purpose. I'm going to turn off the floor decking and floor framing to get this back. And then I'm going to rotate this up. Now, before you do this in real life, you're going to check the. That felt like it went at an angle. Okay, so now we're going to test this. We're going to put it right beside this middle one. Okay, see? Perfect. See? And that's what you're going to do. Now, the two outer stringers are going to have this 2x4 on them. Okay? What that does is it spaces them off the wall. Okay? So then you're going to cut that stringer. You're going to cut 3 of those. Okay? And you'll use this one, you'll use your first one as a pattern. Okay? Just lay it on top of your 2x12 and mark it out. Now this landing, what you can do now, take your drawing and measure your landing framing. This is the most important. This is one of the most important things too, to get this landing right. It is 2 feet 4 and 15/16. And you say, why is it not 2 feet 5? I don't know. It's just math. Sometimes math is surprising. So if you measure from here to the top of that 2x12 down to the floor, you get 2 feet 4 and 15/16. Okay. Don't worry. Don't get all excited about the measurements. Just mark it down and make it exactly the same as on the drawing, because you can't, when you're framing this, you just want to know the dimension, because you're going to put Advantech on top of it, then you're going to put a finished floor on top of it, and there's a science behind it, and Ray's actually a scientist, so he'll know what I'm talking about. But this board needs to be this wide. This is a 2x12, okay, because you need to have something to lean your stringers against, okay. Now, you'll do these smaller stringers exactly the same way, okay? Let's see what they're cut. 6 3/16. Coincidence or not? No, because we're using the same thickness on the floor, on the concrete as the finished floor. We're using an engineered or a laminate flooring that's 12 millimeters, basically a ½ inch. Okay, so these stringers are the same exact. This bottom stringer's cut exactly the same. There's just not as many risers. Okay, so you'll cut them, and then this is what I do. This is the best way, I promise you. Get yourself some of these Simpson angle brackets. These are like 4 inches, okay? And just use these screws. I was going to show you these joist hanger screws. Don't need Google. Where's Danner's channel? I put a link in the description. These joist hanger screws right here, okay? They're right by the joist hangers and angle brackets in the same bin, okay? And I wish they would quit this zooming thing. But anyway, that's what they look like. They're wafer head screws, 1¼ inch, number 8 by 1¼ inch. They're the perfect size. How many's in there? 100. Okay. Well, you're going to have other joist hangers, so you might want to get 2 or 3 boxes of them. But you know, you don't have to fill every hole. If you put 3 screws in each side, you're going to be good. What that's going to do is save your stringer. Once again, you don't want to be putting big old honking nails, trying to toenail it, because you'll split this stringer. Okay, 2 or 3 screws on each side will hold it forever. But the screws are like cumulative in holding power, right? They make little holes, but they hold better than nails, okay? And that's why you can get by with using those smaller screws. Just a few of them, more of them. And then up here, you're going to do the same thing. Unselect that. Okay. You got these right here. And let me turn on the decking, floor framing. Yeah, you see this white is the existing 2x10s up there, see? But because you have to come down this dimension, this is the other dimension you're going to check. It just occurred to me, you need to know that this is 7 15/16, okay? So what you'll do is you'll measure down and put yourself a mark, 7 15/16, okay? Put yourself a mark across there. And what I do is I will, let me move this one out of the way because it's kind of making it kind of confusing, a little confusing, because you can't see my angle bracket. Okay, what I do is I put my 2 outer ones on first against the wall framing. You see, that 2x4 on the side spaces it so you can get your drywall and trim your skirt board down beside it. And I'll show you in just a second. Okay. So this is, what did we say? We're going to go check the bottom one too. 7 15/16. Okay. Let's go check our drawing, as Bob Vila or Norm Abram would say. This is our top landing. This is our 2x10 right here. That's our stringer. 7 15/16. Voila. Okay. Now let's check. This should be the same. I'm not going to promise. Okay, now here's a good point. 7 7/8. Let's go look at our drawing and find out why. Probably because, well, it has to do with this finished floor material, okay? So if we go from there to here, oh wait, I'm sorry. Make sure you measure from the top of the framing to the top of the stringer is 7 15/16. So, I'm only a 16th off. That's what it is. I must have done that just in the drawing. And gravity's going to make you do this right in the field, because that's just, let's do this again. Let's measure. Yeah, that's only a 16th off. And you're going to be a 16th off in real life, but you need to get it as close as possible. Am I not sitting on the ground? Is that what it is? Am I not sitting on the concrete? You're going to find this in real life that it's not going to, that's 6 3/16. That's correct. So you're going to find this in real life that you're going to be a 16th off here, a 16th off there. What you don't want to be is 3/8 of an inch off here and there, okay? And the only way you can keep from being off that much is playing this out like this, okay? You really need to, and of course I've done this. I'm helping Ray and Danner with this, but for your own personal projects, you gotta, there's no way in your head you can figure, I guess you could if you thought about it long enough, or draw it on a 2x4, but seriously, you need to lay these out on paper and get it on a scale drawing, okay? So let's go here right quick because I gotta go eat my baked tater, okay? Let's turn that framing off for a second. Okay, so after you get your stringers, after you get your landing built, you're going to build your landing first. Then you're going to cut your stringers and install them with these angle brackets. Please don't try to toenail it with big old 16-penny nails, they'll split. And you get everything like this. The next thing you're going to do is go and put your subfloor on for your stair. And this is something special I do. Stair. What happened? Oh, Stair Advantic. I really started getting scary there for a second. I thought I had deleted it. So this looks like OSB, but it's Advantic, okay? Now these are permanent. These are permanent because we have allowed for them in the height we've measured, okay? This is 3/4 inch Advantic, even though it looks like OSB. And you just cut them 10 inches wide in the length of your stair, okay? And you're gonna glue them down and just put a few screws in it, okay? Don't go crazy because you're gonna have to screw your finished treads down. You don't want a bunch of screws in the way when you get ready to do that, okay? Once you glue these down, you're gonna be screwing through your tread, your finished tread, into the stringer, so you don't have to worry too much. Okay, so you got this down. This is a lot safer than putting down some temporary treads, okay, I promise you. Because it may be, a month, 2 or 3 months before you finish this project, and you want a nice set of framed stairs. One thing I just realized is this part right here is important too. Let me turn just for a quick minute. You see how these stair stringers hang down, right? Well, I've got one of the screw holes in this existing 2x10 and the other is holding this thing up. Well, I'm sorry, it's not holding this thing up. It's holding the stringer up. These straps are some kind of way to fasten this 2x6 on here. Is it a 2x6 or a 2x8? It's a 2x6. Okay, just get you some straps, and you get these at Home Depot too, just flat straps. These are Simpson straps. Okay, just put your 2 or 3 screws up here, 2 or 3 screws down here, put at least probably 3 of them, and that's going to keep that, because if you don't, the whole weight of this stair is going to be on one little screw. You don't want that. Okay, let's see if I can get out of this. Okay, all right, so where was I? Okay. Alright, so that's explained. Let me turn that floor framing off again. Now, of course, let's not worry about finishes too much. Right now, I'll make it a separate video because this one's long enough. But in the end, what you're going to do is the next step would be, and I'll make another video, so don't worry about trying to remember all this at once. Stair, trim. I meant to separate the risers, but what you would do is you would go put the risers on first, these 1x8s or whatever. That's what we usually use. We usually actually even paint them before we put them on so the painter doesn't freak out when he has to cut in because a lot of times these treads will be stained wood, and he'll have to cut in, painted wood against stain. So they don't like that. So what we'll typically do is take a couple of long 1x8s and paint them, and then cut them and put them up. And at least he has to paint them again, but at least they're, ready to go for him. So I'm not gonna spend too much time, because on the video about the finishes, I'm gonna explain this bullnose that I made for, and I've done this a bunch, for the engineered laminate flooring that goes on the landing and up above. Let's see if I have any questions. I'm public. I'm surprised I didn't have one question. That's okay. I get it. I understand. No, but I hope this helps Ray and Danner. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll. A lot of what I was saying is for the overall audience about laying this out properly first on paper, and get everything perfect on paper, and then take your drawing with you out to the field and use it as a reference. Okay, there's lots of little details here. Okay, all your finishes, your subfloor, your framing, the landing height, the height of this bottom stringer, tread, riser, all that stuff. There's a lot of details in doing stairs properly. Okay, you've been into a bunch of houses where they didn't think about this stuff, and the stairs are all wanky. Okay, that's not what artisans do. Okay, artisans think, and we plan, and we design, not in that order necessarily, and then we implement. Okay, but when we implement something, it's in our head, and we've already studied it and figured out what our materials are going to be, and when we do it, it's done for a long time. All right, well, thanks, guys. I'm going to go eat my baked tater, and we will see you in the next video. If you have any questions, leave them below. Thanks.